much at Fridgie.
Oh, cheers.
Bree left pretty quickly. Is she okay?
Not okay, but I think we're getting through to her. You got to take the small wins.
You should be careful.
I'm not scared of Jacob.
That's not what I meant. Rem, I see the way you look at her. I'm worried that you're getting too close. I know that you would never go there with a married woman, but you need to take a step back for your own sake.
We are Si and Sophie. This is Coastal News, a home and away podcast, your weekly episode companion podcast for your favourite Aussie soap.
Sophie, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Soon come round again, this, hasn't it?
I know, crikey. Where are the days going?
I know. And it's official. I've left my job.
Woohoo!
Start another one. Like I'm not.
Yeah, not quite made it.
Oh yeah, not won anything. So it was your turn last season, my turn this season.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Are you looking forward to the new start, or are you feeling a bit nervous, or how are you feeling?
I don't know. I think I've just been focusing on today.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll start thinking now about the next bit. So
Yeah.
I'll go get to Monday. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm ready. I think my feelings today have made me realise I'm doing it. It's right for me.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Because I've not been too upset. So there we go.
That's good.
But yeah, other than that,
you got a lovely work present, didn't you? You're going to tell everybody about your cameo.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so Sophie and I are massive fans of The Traitors.
US and UK.
It's the same. I have not watched any of the US.
I've done it, completed it, mate. So you need to catch up.
Even though it's like carbon copy.
Yes, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's not the same as the UK one. I found the UK one, I was invested in it more, but I don't know whether that's because with the UK one I couldn't watch it immediately and I had to wait 24 hours and all that one. But with this one, I've just sat and binged it over 3 days. So, I could watch as much or as little as I wanted.
Top program. I mean, it got me and you through the break. Every night. Are you ready?
It was our Homer's stopgap over Christmas, wasn't it?
Will's a faithful.
He's a faithful. I'm an actress.
Many laughs. Yeah, so Amanda from The Traitors, my colleagues, got me a cameo from it and it's hilarious.
It's funny.
Oh, I'll have to share it.
It's so funny.
But by order of The Traitors, I've been ordered to keep in touch with Oh, it is a good laugh.
It's so funny. She was like, you've been ordered to keep in touch until you get murdered. I was like, oh wow, sinister.
No. Imagine if that happened.
Oh god, don't.
You'd feel bad, wouldn't you?
I'd presented it to police. Evidence. Here you go.
Amanda gets locked up for murdering podcast hosts.
Yeah.
Just see the Daily Star now. Yeah.
Make the headlines. Defo.
It was a good giggle. Them cameos are really good. But we've done a few, haven't we, from Home and Away.
Yeah.
To each other, and they're really good. So yeah. You went out, didn't you? Another school night party.
I did. I went to see Sleep Token at Birmingham on Tuesday, and I regret it now because I'm so tired. I cannot deal with school night adventures anymore. I'm too old.
Sophie's going to rush us through this podcast this week, so she's crashed.
Go to bed. Needs to go to bed by 9.
You're like, shut up, Si, get on with the next bit.
Oh dear. No, I'm all right. I'm hanging in there, but yeah, I can't do that every week because it just
Your voice is sounding better than when you last did it.
That's true. Oh, if I get another illness after that, I'll be livid. But
so
yeah.
So far, it's the winner. So
far, so good.
Right, let's talk home and away. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
And do you want your headlines?
I do.
Xander attempts at dating wind up very dramatic. Eden starts to read between the lines with Remi and Bree and offers some words of advice. And Bob's back and he wants curbs under his arm again. And the wedding prep has begun, but is the guest list quite right?
Please take the time to like, subscribe, and review Coastal News wherever you source your podcasts and ensure you never miss an episode.
So as we say, Xander, he's going through this dry spell, isn't he? This road. You know, and it's a strange one, this, because we've sort of left this for what feels like forever. The break over Christmas probably doesn't help, but then you think we've been back on air a couple of weeks, or 3 weeks here. Well, this is the first time we're revisiting this, so it's definitely a Z-list sort of background story that's happening, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they probably just found time to revisit it, but Xander and Rose have sort of trying to get each other hooked up, aren't they? That was the genesis. They've got Rose on Smolder, the famous Smolder app, and she's having no luck with that. And then she's sort of goading him about meeting somebody. And there's this sort of look with this girl in the surf club, isn't there, this week? And she's like egging him on to go and get a number, and he does, and he asks her out. And it's just all a bit cringe.
It is a bit cringe. We had this conversation on last week's podcast, didn't we? That they, as brother and sister, getting this involved or this kind of invested in a sibling's love life is a bit weird, isn't it? I think it is. Maybe we're just a bit prudish, but I don't know. Maybe this is normal, but I don't think it is.
No, I don't know. It's not normal. You made a good point. When you said something like if you look at them, they don't really give off sibling vibe.
No, I would have thought they were a couple, because where that girl saw Xander and she was like eyeing him up and everything quite blatantly in the surf club when Xander and Rose were playing pool, and it from an onlooker's perspective, it didn't look like brother and sister playing pool. It could have been a couple easily.
Yeah,
because they're joking and they're touching each other and they're very close, and it's like that. I wouldn't have assumed brother and sister off the back of that. So. No.
Well, I just to confirm your theory. Okay, I had the TV on and a family member was in the room who doesn't normally watch, and when the scene played out, they turned to me and said, "Well, they're obviously gonna bang," and I was like, "Brother and sister."
Ew.
They obviously give off chemistry.
Yeah, definitely.
But I thought, what better validation does Sophie need than
Thank you.
a non-viewer saying the same thing? So it's not just all feels a bit odd and a bit weird, unnecessary. Because actually you would just, especially at that age, you just stay out of each other's love life, wouldn't you? The less, the better. Things in your ears type sitch.
Yeah. Especially because they live together as well. So anybody that they do bring home, I mean, ew, you know what I mean? And
then Rose brings Irene into it in that designer. She's like, "What does Irene?" And she's like, "I think you should stay the hell out of it." Thank you, Irene. We all agree.
Yeah, Irene's had experience. She knows to stay out of stuff like this. Yeah.
We fast forward a bit. Xander's going on a date with this girl, but doesn't want Rose to know. Probably because the way Rose is being a bit too involved, as we say, and so makes up a 30th birthday. I think I messaged you, didn't I? At this point, I was like, "Is something changed with Xander?" Because suddenly Xander's looking quite cute.
I told you he was cute. I told you that ages ago that he was cute. I can't believe you're only just getting on board with this. I think he's cute.
Yeah. And I hadn't had a vino,
Yeah, good. Yeah.
It's like how have I just seen this? And maybe it's because he was wearing nice clothes.
Oh, he's got a cute face. I think he's really cute. Honestly, I've thought that since day one. When we saw him when he first arrived, and he was sat on Irene's couch looking all nervous, waiting to meet Jasmine. I thought he was cute then. I don't know where you've been. What you've been looking at. Yeah. I'm glad you're on board though.
Yeah, the tattoos, maybe not.
Yeah, some of them I'm not keen. Some of them are quite cool, some of them I'm not keen on. But yeah, I think he's cute. He's got a cute face.
Well, I've had my awakening. I'm here, ready to arm wrestle you. And so he's gone on this secret date. And he's called it a 30th. Rose has gone to the diner. The diner girls have let slip that it's a date, and then she goes to crash the date, which I just think, you've just spent however long telling him to go out and date someone, and then you turn up at his date. I just thought, what are you doing?
I know, leave him alone. I can understand her like going in and looking from across the room, maybe going up to the bar and ordering a takeaway, and then just like walking past and clocking whoever he's meeting. But to go up and sit at his table when you know that she's on her way, I thought that was a bit much.
Well, it's like the whole thing, though, isn't it? It's just a bit too involved, a bit too.
Yeah.
And that's when the drama starts, because there's this guy sat at the bar. Drink, looks like me in lockdown. And then
working from home.
Very similar. Long hair and beard. And he's Mac's worried about me, you're drinking too much, this is your last beer. He keels over. So Xander's date in the vicinity is cut short as he runs over, being a paramedic. YMCA. He's he's there, he's on hand to take charge. So that puts a really early stop to the date, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And just gives, it's Stacey, isn't it, her name, the date? It's Stacey.
Oh, yeah. I think so. Yeah, I'm not very good at them. I knew that was David that fell off the chair.
Really? Well, between us.
Yeah, I think his name was David. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it is Stacey.
Yeah, Stacey. And he's a bit like, he's ruined it, all the chances are gone. He was really nervous and awkward and really
he was.
He was. And then that happens, so you've not really had a date, and he's blown it. He's had to go to the hospital with this patient, David, and then next day he literally runs into her, thinking, oh, she didn't want me to come home with it. Did you see him lean into the lift for a kiss?
I know, that was awkward. And she's just probably thinking, I haven't even had my dinner yet, mate. I want to go home and eat some. I'd be on the way to Mackie D's on the way home. I'd be starving. I need a burger. Don't kiss me. Dear. Sorry. Is it just me? We didn't even have a drink at the restaurant. Nothing. She must be I'd be starving.
Yeah, someday. I bet he got the bill. Cheap date. The lift sort of closes. He let it in for a kiss. I just thought, oh, mate.
Yeah, she was like, catch you later or whatever. I'm off to Mackie D's because you didn't feed me.
A far cry from Christian and Tori's embracing that very lift. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do. With the fiddling with the lift buttons and the touching of the hands and all of that stuff.
That's what you call it. It was far cry from it. So the next day, he thinks it's all he's blown it. She didn't want the kiss. She didn't want to kick on after there. She had an early morning, but when he runs into her, she's like, "No, I really did have an early morning."
Yeah.
I now actually I think the more of you, because I now think you're a hero.
Yeah.
So that looks like it's going to develop. Let's see. Is that a new character, do we think, being introduced?
Well, we need more people that work at the hospital. She said she's looking for a job, didn't she?
Oh, right.
And she used to be a nurse. So, we haven't got any more nurses, have we? How many? We haven't got many people working at the hospital anymore, have we? Because Jasmine and everyone else has gone.
Got Bria.
Yeah, she's a doctor, isn't she? But I don't think we've got another nurse.
No, so maybe she'll slot into Jasmine's.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
It's a good sign then she might be sticking about. Let's see. I've not seen much of her to form an opinion yet. Let's see where that goes. I think if she pairs up with Xander, she can't do much wrong, really, can she?
No, as long as he doesn't keep getting his PTSD tattoos at home.
Hopefully she'll calm him down though. As long as she don't give him any heartache.
Yeah.
But that David, things didn't work out too good for him.
No.
Homer, isn't it? And Max. Right, I've seen some comments about this online during the discussion in the week about Max sort of making it about her. I don't know if you saw the same comments.
I did, yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on this before I sort of summarize?
I was surprised, to be honest. When we looked at this last week, because we did first look, didn't we, on Sunday, and we looked at the week ahead, and the synopsis said something like Mac freezes in a crisis, and we were thinking, what on earth could this be? And it didn't sound like Mac. And you said she's actually quite good in a crisis. Look at her when, the poker nights were going on and they were getting threatened and, all of that stuff was happening. That was quite stressful and she handled herself really well. So we were like, what on earth could this be? But when it actually unfolded, I couldn't really work out why she was so affected at the time. When he collapsed, he fell on the floor and kind of hit his head. And she just stood over just like goldfish, like mouth open, staring at him, didn't she? Because she couldn't even call an ambulance, couldn't move, she couldn't even talk. And I just thought that was really odd. I can't think why she reacted in that way.
I can't, and I don't think it's, in general, I don't mean just for Mac, but in general, I don't think it's an unexpected response. I think when something like that happens and you don't know what to do, I think a lot of us would freeze. Right.
But she works in a bar. That's what I'm not sure about. Like, if she genuinely thought he was too drunk to have another drink and then he falls off his stool, drops his glass and just, lies there, you'd still be thinking, oh, he's drunk, wouldn't you? And he's just, she must be used to dealing with drunk patrons. Yeah. I don't know.
Absolutely. That's what I was about to say, like, but in Mac's case, surely she's had people fall off a stool.
Yeah.
Oh, and and she's had to turf him out for being drunk, she might have been worrying about her license or, has she overserved him and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be in the moment. That would be like afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, it would.
Oh my God, what have I done? I've served him too much.
And it wasn't like it was a shock. Like he wasn't sat there 1 minute laughing and joking and being completely fine, and the next minute keeled over on the floor. Like she thought that he was drunk. So you can see where it might escalate from there, from that pattern of thinking, can't you? So I don't understand really.
Yeah, I think, and then there was this sort of knee-jerk reaction. I think it was described as by one of the Felicity or someone, where she says everybody needs to get first aid trained because I didn't know what to do. Everybody get first aid trained. Felicity's like, oh my God, it's going to cost $2,000. Are you sure?
Yeah.
And I just.
So where's this storyline going? I mean, I think I tweeted in the week, I was like, did they really kill off David just to remind Max she needs to go on a training course? Like, where is this going? It's really weird.
They could have a death on a midweek Tuesday and it be a non-event.
I mean, I don't know about you, but when I need to take a training course at work, I get an email reminder saying, it's going to be expired in a month. I don't have to have someone die in front of me to go, oh yes, my first aid course. I was just like, where are we going with this? Because at first I thought maybe, I don't know, like maybe we're going to have an epiphany. Like Max decided, oh, I want to be better in a crisis. I'll go on a course and then maybe I'll retrain to do something else. But I can't see that happening. I can't see her not working in salt or owning salt anymore. I don't know why we've had this story. It's really weird.
I don't want to say the F word, but do you think it was just to fill up
But just to kill off a guy, just to for a 10-minute storyline, it just feels really weird.
I am literally like
cold.
Can you imagine this poor actor and he's like, oh yeah, you've got a part on Home and Away. Just got 2 lines. And
have a beer.
3 scenes, or you die in the 3rd scene.
Oh God, it's bizarre. I kind of wanted there to be a point to it rather than just I need to go on a course.
Let's see if there is a point. I personally, maybe I was thinking, oh, maybe he's a new love interest, and she starts visiting him at the hospital.
No, he's dead.
Dead.
He's so cold. I was like, damn, this is cold. I just can't get my head around this at all.
And imagine if you missed that episode. And you watched the next day, you never knew who David was. He'd come on.
Well, nobody else met him. I mean, she's only told Felicity about him, and Felicity never saw him. He was in it that little time that nobody actually knows about this guy. It's all just a rumor about this guy dying after being insulted. It's just so weird. I don't know where we're going with this.
Felicity's reaction was, oh, that must have been terrible for you.
Yeah, for you, not for the poor guy that's in hospital. Yeah, well, this does circle back to what everyone was saying online this week, was that Mac is making this about her. This poor guy collapsed in the restaurant, and she's like, oh, I didn't know what to do, and I panicked and like freaking out, and then he's died, and again it's all about her again. So I do see that complaint about Mac being selfish and self-centered, the same complaint that they have about Flick as well. A lot of the fans mention it about her. I can see that, but I think it is just part of who Mac is. That is, she would feel bad for that if that guy died. And
yeah. I mean, that's all there is to say about the matter, really, isn't there?
Yeah.
He's gone.
He's gone. R.I.P. David. Never mind. I hope that was a good last beer that he had. I hope it was worth it.
I know.
Bless him.
And YMCA paramedic Xander wasn't much use, was it?
It wasn't really. Right. Do you want to go to the hospital? No, we're going anyway, in the back of my car.
And everyone's consoling Matt, like, well, he was going to die anyway. Extra beer or not?
At least he died a little bit tipsy. It's so weird. I can't get my head around this at all. It's the most bizarre introduction and, trashing of a character I've ever seen.
Well, Bree, if you remember, Bree had gone outside to make a phone call.
Oh, yeah.
Or to answer a phone call from Jacob, hadn't she, where we left off this week? And she comes in and she's a bit like, what are you looking at? I'm allowed to talk to my husband. A bit standoffish, isn't she? And Remi's, yeah, I know. Like, what did he want? Quizzing her. I'm thinking, bloody hell, Remi, she don't know you. Nothing to do with you, what someone wants on the phone. Do you know?
Yeah. It's their relationship at the end of the day, isn't it?
I thought he was a bit, considering he's supposed to be given, the supportive arm, shoulder to come and cry on. I thought you need to back off a bit with your questions, mate. I know you don't like the guy, but just let her go through whatever she needs to go through.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. And there was a lovely scene later after that, and because she leaves the house, then doesn't she? She'd planned to have breakfast with them, but obviously that appetite, whatever. And Eden finds her down at the beach. It was beautifully shot. I love those shots behind the characters and you see, and all you can see the sea. And I'm just like, oh, look at that. So I've said it before. I say it again. One thing you do not get that watching other soaps.
You definitely don't.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Eden's found her at the beach, doesn't she? And sort of, it basically asks her to go easy on him.
Yeah.
Can't be surprised. I thought it was a really good line. You can't be surprised if you ask him for help and he offers it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's right, isn't it? It's right.
Yeah, I saw a few tweets about this on the hashtag as well. This week, Bree went round there. Remi offered some help. He said, come round anytime if you ever need anything. Just come to me. No questions asked. No judgments, etc. And she went round straight away after Jacob left. In bits. And then he's trying to help her, and she's pushing him away again. And people were saying on the hashtag, why is she asked for help and then, running away when he's trying to help her?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, she doesn't know whether she's coming or going, does she, though? I think
No.
I'm getting the sense that she's just blind panicking here.
She is, yeah. I mean, she knows that this guy's coming back in 12 weeks' time, and she hasn't got a plan. Well, she admitted to him, didn't she? I don't know what I'm going to do. I've told him this pack of lies to make him go away. I've told him we're going to start a family, and he's going to move to the Bay. He's going to find a job here. All of this stuff. Doesn't want any of that, but she doesn't know how to get out of that, does she?
She said anything to buy. Well, Remi said it. You bought yourself some time,
Yeah.
But all she's blind panicking, and she's just thinking all I've done is kick the can down the road here.
Yeah.
And she feels like she owes this enormous debt to him.
Yeah.
Because of the whole putting her through training, and we supported her through that, didn't he? And this the entrapment side of it. She feels like she has to stay.
Yeah.
And that's probably for me the saddest about the storyline, really.
It is. Yeah, that's all hanging over her head, and he probably brings that up all the time. Well, he does actually, because we've seen him do it. You know, I paid for you to go through medical school, because when she was explaining it to somebody, I think it was Remi again, she said something like, he paid for everything, you know, not just the course, but he paid for all the bills and everything else, so that all I had to do was go to the go to the lectures or whatever it was that she went to, or the training. So he has got her over a barrel, like, financially, hasn't he, really? He can bring that up any time and say, well, I helped you and I got you where you are and I got you this job and I got you your career. And
and so many people in the world feel financially, because they're financially reliant on their partner, that they're
well, she was, but the thing is, right now she has got this good job as a doctor, and I presume she's got an okay salary coming in, because she's living in a motel. You know, she's not renting anywhere, which would be cheaper, you presume. So she has got money coming in now, but it's the problem that she's historically owes him, doesn't she? She's historically financially attached to him and feels indebted to him.
I think it's more of a feeling than she's physically paying him, you know. And then it's all highlighted again, because she after her talk with Eden and this moment, she's obviously had a think and has gone back to the house, back to the band's house, and she's come in the back garden. She's overheard them talking then, about and you know, it's just that moment you just think, oh God, more time. And Remi chases her back up the drive, doesn't he? Sort of manages to talk around, you know, and she says things like, you know, I've never had this before, with people looking out for me, you know. And then on looking there, Eden, she's piecing it all together, isn't she, there? What I'm thinking, Remi lad, you know, catch feels. I think you mentioned then they had this sort of bonfire chat, and you mentioned how lovely it was. Fine. And she gets him a beer, doesn't she? And she says, look, I'm worried about you. You know, you need to take a step back. I think you're getting yourself in a bit too deep here. He tells her she's got that worry about, but we know, don't we? This has been brewing for a while. Love a story.
I'm actually really enjoying this storyline. I know it's quite tragic, so it's like, it feels wrong to say you enjoy it, but I am really enjoying all the scenes that we're getting between Bree and Remi, and between Remi and Eden as well.
Yeah. And who'd have thought, with those characters as well, who'd have thought we'd have been saying that a couple of months ago?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I think it's the only story this week that has kept me wholly engaged, actually.
You're probably right.
I've wanted to know a bit more about what's going on with that. The rest of it has been a bit, well, David's death, been a bit...
bit of a bummer, that one.
Bit of throwaway.
Bless him. No, I felt a bit sad after that. It was a bit deflating, wasn't it? That, you know, Custerman salt dies. It's not something that happens every day. Dear.
And again, let's go back to that sort of scene around the fire pit. You know, Eden and Remi's friendship, for me, is one of the most glorious things that's coming out of this. That's being written so well. And it's a friendship that I'm really invested in. And I think sometimes soaps struggle to make male and females friends. You know? And I think without succumbing to that temptation, something to happen. And I think it's just glorious the way this is developed. And the more scenes like that between the two of them, the more I'm just completely bought into this friendship. You know, more enjoy it.
I think they're like the young John and Irene. Because John and Irene, for me, I know other people I've seen on the hashtag people wanting them to get together and vomit, but I think they're a lovely, pairing. Again, male and female character, just platonic friends. I really like John and Irene together, and I think Remi and Eden gives me the same kind of vibe.
Yeah, it's just and it's just believable.
It is. Yeah.
Because clearly have a great rapport, great chemistry. And I just think I'm watching, and I believe that these are two real close friends.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really nice when all that lines up and works, without having to mess anything up.
Yes, I agree.
So Eden's got his back, so she's going to have one eye on him now. She's going to be. I've got the way I'm predicting this is going to go now. Remi is going to go deeper and deeper with Bree, and Eden's going to have to try and get through to him, I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to be ending up in a hospital bed.
I know. Yeah.
Next worry, he's still in with that, because I still feel when you said you don't think he's gone, I still feel Jacob's not going to be gone 3 months. I think he's going to be back.
I know. I can't imagine us not seeing him again till when would that be? April. I just can't imagine that this storyline continue unless they come up with a plan in that time. But if it's just continuing to say, oh, he's coming back in 12 weeks, oh, he's coming back in 11 weeks, oh, he's coming back in 10 weeks, what are you doing? We can't have that dragging on for that long, can we?
No. So, and it'll be explosive. It'll be back unannounced.
Yeah.
So I am worried about. I'm just apprehensive now. Like that's around the corner somewhere. It's got to be.
Yeah.
And what's that going to mean for Remi? Now I'm team Remi all of a sudden. So, but people listening to this podcast think it's a right fickle one.
I know. I'm glad you're on board. I've been team Remi for a while, and it's felt like it's just a team of one. Because looking at the hashtag as well for months, everyone was saying, "Oh, I hate this band," and I don't like any of the characters. And I've been for ages saying I really like Remi and I really like Eden. I've liked them since the beginning, and now I'm seeing a slight change on the hashtag, and people are enjoying the Remi and Eden stuff. So I'm like, yes, finally, come on board.
He's dropped the bravado. That's what he's done. That's the thing he's done. That Jack the lad. I can have anything. Attitude. As soon as he dropped that, he's been really likable. But I think this story has been great for those, and and I know others are saying the same. So
yeah.
But have you noticed they don't do any of the band stuff? They don't do the.
That's true. They don't go to rehearsals. They don't write the songs.
So
they don't do the interviews either, because it looks like Kirby and Theo do all the phone interviews and the magazines and all that stuff. I know Remi and Eden were supposed to be there, weren't they, for the one with Tully, and they didn't make it because they didn't check their phones or whatever. But I think Theo and Kirby do all the admin, don't they? And they post stuff on social media, and I don't think the other two do.
That's the stuff that gets us all eye rolling,
Yeah, that's true.
A coincidence that we like the other two more. If you had only just started watching Home and Away this week, you'd have no idea that Remi and Eden were a part of the band.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. And yet with Kirby, that's all the storyline she's got up until this week when we've got Bob coming back, but that's still about the band. The only thing she's got is the band and the fact that she's Theo's girlfriend. And that's the difference, isn't it? Remi and Eden, they've got all these other, storylines outside of the band going on, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And like you say, Theo and Kirby, they're doing the radio interview. They're talking about the single being played on the radio, and they're on Cloud 9 about that. And, we're seeing them, and like you say, Bob's come. Well, let's talk about it. Bob's come back, and he's sort of interrupted Theo and Kirby after they were getting over really the text message stuff.
Yes.
Last week when Theo caught the messages with Bob, and Bob sort of, like you said it, didn't you, on here last week? The band's getting traction and the band's doing well. He's come crawling out the woodwork, and he didn't know I've come to congratulate you. Oh, I always said we should have done a music video, but no one listened to it.
Yeah. I know.
But I'm just like,
jog on, mate.
yeah. And Theo's like, what do you want?
Yeah.
I'm
Everyone
not...
is though. Everyone's, even Flick was like, oh, what are you doing back? Ugh. I thought she was great with him.
However, I thought Bob had, when he got Kirby alone and sort of that he'd come back for it, basically,
Yeah.
Although I don't think that's his true intention. I think he's after the fame because the band took off. He's misrepresenting his feelings there. But he says, when he says that to her, and he says, rebound guy not happy, referring to he's got some points that I think are valid.
Okay.
Oh, you messaged me back.
Yeah.
So can't be nothing. And it's more than that. She agreed to meet him. She actually meet him, and she tried to say, "Well, I wanted closure." Well, did you not think that's what I want? He obviously quickly admits he doesn't want closure, but I think he's right. If you and I were sitting here the other week and we said, "You just text him back, block him, done with it."
Yeah.
If it's truly in the past, I don't think it is for Kirby. I think Kirby's being a little unfair to everybody.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
That's given him the ammo to turn up.
It has. Yeah. It's given him the excuse to wander back in and say, hi. Oh, I missed you. Oh, how can you miss me this week when we're, the band's hitting off? How come you didn't miss me 3 weeks ago or 2 months ago?
And he knows he can not manipulate her maybe, but he knows he can control that because he's done it so many times. He's made a vote a certain way in the band.
Yeah.
He knows he can turn up and put on the Bob charm, know.
Well, he was doing it with Theo, wasn't he? When he was playing pool with Theo, and we'd already seen just before this, we'd already seen Kirby say, "Rack off! I don't want you in my life anymore. You've got no business coming back here and doing all of this to me and getting in my head again. I'm with Theo." She'd really spelt it out, really clear to him. "You're not welcome in my life anymore," I think is what she said. And then the next scene, Bob's in the surf club and he's taunting Theo. "Oh, come and play pool with me. Oh, you don't think you're going to beat me? Is that the problem?" And the whole time he's in his ear, isn't he? Going, "Oh, I know Kirby better than you. She's done this before. We split up, we go off with other people, but we always come back to each other. We're always drawn to each other." And I was like, this is all rubbish because she's just told you to rack off in the scene before. But he's now trying to get into Theo's head, isn't he? And cause some, disruption there. So when Theo goes home, he's still in the mood, and then that'll be, another argument with Kirby or whatever happens. And the knock-on effect of that is Bob thinks if they split up, she'll come running back, which is just so arrogant. But
it is arrogant. You're spot on, absolutely spot on. I mean, that big cock measuring contest at the pool table was just ridiculous today.
It was, yeah. I really wanted Theo to walk away from that. I thought he'd matured recently, and I thought he would just go, "No, mate, not interested. I'm going to work." Or
especially as he left them alone, didn't he? He gave them the chat they needed.
Yeah.
And he acted that he sort of knew what he was back for. When Kirby the next day in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, really big and really trusting of him, considering he's only like 2 days down the line from finding out that she'd agreed to meet him with keeping it a secret. I thought really big of him and really trusting of him to do that, mature of him.
It was, yeah.
And then this happened, and I was just. But you have to remember, I don't know how old Kirby is, but Theo's pretty young, isn't he? And has he got a lot of experience with this?
Yeah.
Is he a little bit sort of naive in that respect?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we only had Chloe before this that we know of, don't we? So that was a very immature relationship, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. Oh dear. So, I mean, looking at the next time as well for tomorrow's episode, it's looking like it works, and Bob's basically worming his way back into the band, isn't he? The little smile.
Yeah.
I'm not happy he's back at all.
No, I'm not. Not at all.
Still holding out hope at the moment that his efforts are going to be unfounded.
Yeah.
Let's see. But So somewhere else in the bay, we've got Ziggy.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. She still wants to be treated like everybody else, so that's exactly what Justin does. And he says, right then, we're late. I've got loads of complaints. I'm going to lay down my law. Buckle up, sister. You need to bring a better attitude to work. And she just cries and runs out. And I'm thinking, yes. I actually thought that's how you'd handle her if you would.
I would actually. But like, right, I'm going to stop treating you like, like you're special now. So yeah, I will treat you like everyone else. It's literally what you asked for. So yeah. I mean, he did go a bit to town with it, but if she does want to be treated exactly the same, like as if she was not pregnant, she hasn't done a great job at work. She hasn't buckled up. As far as Justin knew at this point, he didn't know that she'd been to hospital. She just said, oh, I forgot to open the garage. Oh, whoops. So he's well within his right to say, you haven't turned up for work. You haven't done your job. Customers have complained and you lost us an entire day of money.
Should have said, I'm writing you up.
Yeah, you're on a warning, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then Dean being Dean. Oh, he's done that whole, gone over to him and been like, oi, no, she was, and basically let slip that she was in hospital, and it's making Justin feel awful when actually the whole blooming thing could have been avoided by telling him last week.
This storyline has left me cold, I'll be honest.
Absolutely
ridiculous. It is. It's just talk to each other. You're meant to be friends. You're meant to work together and be friends. Like this was, avoidable.
Yeah. Melodrama. He actually says that, doesn't he, when he goes over with the ice cream piece? And he's like, why didn't you tell me? We could have worked it out. I'm your boss, but I'm also your friend. He says all this too, and I'm just and she doesn't seem that bothered that he knows. I'm just thinking, And then anyway, then she does sit down and start sharing calendars and booking her appointments in like she should have done weeks ago.
Well, who would have thought that having a shared calendar at work would actually help? You know what I mean? How long have they worked together? I was almost on the floor with this one. I was like, are you serious? You don't know what days you're in and he's not in. Oh God. Anyway, Jenny.
You're Jenny in it. I think that's all there is to be said on the matter, isn't there? Really, there now.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm really not interested in this story at all. It's going to have to get a lot more interesting for me to stop glazing over whenever Ziggy and the garage comes up. I'm just not interested. I'm sorry.
Well, what about Roo and her giving up her tutoring business? Marilyn's sort of cutting on, isn't she? There's this moment they're in the, they're having dinner and whatever in the diner, and Roo's like, "Oh, I'm not answering the phone. It's just a client," or "No, I'm not going to get involved in that." And Marilyn's looking on, thinking, and I was thinking, watching it all, thinking, "Oh, something else for Marilyn to blame herself for." Last thing we need, Roo, is this. Marilyn's already feeling guilt-ridden as it is. So with this whole Heather drama. So Roo sort of says, I want to shut it down, and it's because, Heather's really knocked me for 6. I believed her over, you, my bestie. She says it again. And Marilyn sort of stands her ground really, and I was quite proud of her with this. And she just sort of says, you are closing down your business over my dead body.
Yeah.
Do not want you to do this again. I'm thinking, Marilyn's dead next.
She's on one, yeah. This is good though, because isn't this a bit of a role reversal? Because normally it's Marilyn getting the anxiety pangs and Roo going, no, you're going to do this, and sort of strong arming her into a decision. And it's the tables have turned now, haven't they? So Roo's the one going, oh, I don't think I can do it. Oh, I don't think I can do it. And Marilyn's like, you're going to do it. You're just going to do it. Sorry, it's happening.
Yeah, spot on actually. Yeah. Even Alf tries, doesn't he? And Alf has a chat. And there's more acknowledgement here, and I think as viewers we need to see Roo acknowledging what she's done, because we're also livid with her. She's she's like, I didn't believe my best friend, I turned my back on her, I think was the word she said. And I believed everything Heather said. And you know, rightly or wrongly, Marilyn's prepared to let it go, you know, and crack on. And there comes a point where you've just got to accept that and get on with it, and you can still make it up to her, you know. I think spitting your dummy out and saying I'm not going to do teach anymore is just going to upset Marilyn even more, because that's another life that's changed for good, you know, forever, as a result of what's gone on, you know. So as always, she's handled it the wrong way, but we've got another acknowledgement, is what I'm saying, and I guess every time she mentions it, a little bit of me goes, "Thank you, Roo. That's all you needed to do. Thank you, Roo." Just every time she does it, and I never forget.
No.
But it's nice to know that she realizes what she's done.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's nice that it wasn't just swept under the carpet. You know, she is going through this. I don't know. Like you say, she's going through it the wrong way, but at least it's still impacting her. Her decisions are still impacting her, and what she's done to Marilyn is still impacting her in a way, even if she isn't really, you know, apologizing on her hands and knees. You know, she's still reeling from what's happened and learning that lesson, I guess, which is a step in the right direction, I think, for Roo.
And then there's this moment, she's agreed to it, hasn't she? She phones the person back, does the tutor session, and then now I'm a bit confused about what Marilyn was suggesting tonight, but Marilyn was sort of saying, you know, it's really good. I want to help people. Perhaps soup kitchen was just me going a bit too fast, too soon. You know, I need to get involved with something. She's sort of hinting to Roo, isn't she, about her helping young people.
Yes.
She wants to sort of do something together, and I'm a bit confused about what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I don't know what that's going to be. No, I didn't understand the context. I mean, I saw what happened because I think Roo said something to Alf about how it was nice to be able to have that feeling again that you're helping somebody. And Marilyn was like in the background, wasn't she, listening and thinking, yeah, it is nice to have that kind of a purpose and, you know, doing something that you think I'm making a difference and all of that.
Yeah.
But what are they going to gang up together and do? I just can't think.
Don't know. I'm just trying to think whether they have a tutoring session with Roo and then Marilyn cleanses the chakra. I don't know.
That could be it, couldn't it?
I mean, watch this space, I guess. We'll find out, won't we, I suppose. But yeah, that was an interesting thing, because that would be something good that comes out of it and could help. Working together like that could help heal their relationship a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I'm wondering whether it's going to be some kind of charity aspect to it, or I don't know. I just can't. It could be anything, couldn't it?
Well, fundraisers and things, I don't really have good. There's normally a bomb or something. Yeah, ghastly. Yeah. So let's hope it's nothing like that. Somewhere else, somebody else building bridges, or, you know, creating bridges, should I say? Neek, the man over at Casa Parata, is making the best pickle sandwich. And was it mean? This is a mean sandwich.
Mean, sick.
I just can't get on board with the language. And Tane's messing with him, and he's like, "Who's going to be your best man?" He's, "Oh, I was thinking Dean. He's been good with me lately," which gave me a bit of a giggle. So Neek's officially best man. I thought, was that an unwritten?
I thought we'd already had this. I dreamt this, but when we talked about this last week, and I read out the synopsis on the first look episode, and it said Neek wants to be the best man. I said to you, didn't I? Don't we already know this? I feel like I've already seen this, but maybe we haven't, and I've just dreamt it.
Maybe. Well, he is now, for sure.
He is now, yeah.
I'll back you up. But he's sort of less best man, more wedding planner.
He's everything, isn't he? I mean, thank God someone's planning something. Because it's in exactly 6 weeks now. So time is ticking on.
Yeah. Well, he's getting a bit stressed, isn't he, with his list and things he's got to do. He needs a new suit, a new hire, you know, all that catering. And Tane and Flick are just really blasé about it, you know. And Tane's twigging, and he's like, "Listen, bro, Listen, bro. Calm down. You're making me panic, you know. And it's just making them look really unprepared. And then I'm just thinking, does anybody actually want this wedding? Like,
yeah.
Should Tane be sorting out cars and suits? No, should be Eck.
Yeah. It's a bit strange, isn't it, that Flick can...
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. They just want a party, don't they? Well, certainly Flick does. Flick just wants to be on the beach all day getting drunk. That's what I'm getting the vibe of her.
Yeah, but I actually don't mind that chill beach. I've said this to you before, hasn't it? There's something in that, I reckon. Especially
there is, but she doesn't want to organise it. She just wants it to happen, by osmosis. She doesn't want to think about a permit or go shopping for a dress or think about how everyone's going to get there or send out an invitation to tell them what day it's on. She's not thinking about any of that. She's just thinking, oh yeah, beer on the beach. Yeah, you can do that any day. You can do that any day of the week.
Flick and Tane's non-wedding.
I'm just worried that there's going to be no celebrant. There's going to be nothing legal about this wedding if they don't actually organise somebody to marry them. Or
maybe that's Felicite's plan.
Maybe.
On it. I don't. And now the reception's going to be in the back garden.
Yeah. Well, thank God it's not at work, hey, because it could have been at Salt 5 minutes ago. So.
Oh, someone cleans the pool.
That pool's gross, isn't it? I think that every time I look at it, I'm like, it looks green. It's like it's full of algae. How? It needs a pool cleaner. Dear. Gonna catch something in that pool, I swear. It looks like a pond. Sex pond. It's awful. Sorry. Oh dear.
Is that what a sex pond? I've never come across a sex pond. Is that what?
Well, apparently jacuzzis are sex ponds. That's what they call them. Like middle class people have a jacuzzi in the garden, and people call it a sex pond. Allegedly, I don't have a jacuzzi in my garden because I'm not posh, but
I do.
You do.
I'm only kidding.
You got a sex pond,
and I didn't even know it. But now you do. No, I'm only kidding.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So the beach, the wedding's going to be on the beach. The reception's going to be in the back garden. Let's hope it doesn't rain. And there's somebody not on the guest list.
Gary.
Gaza.
Gary. Not stepdad, foster dad, Gary. Do you know what? They mentioned his name about 10 times tonight, and I thought if I was doing a Gary shot every time they mentioned Gary, I'd be drunk.
Well, I think it's safe to say Gary's coming because they've said his name a lot, to get
us used. Yeah. Have we ever heard of Gary before? I know we've heard of them living with I keep saying step parents, I mean foster parents. We've heard them about foster parents before being in their lives, obviously when their dad died, but I don't remember a name before. So now they've named him, we've got to meet him. That's the rule, isn't it?
Yeah, now he's named, and he's we're talking about him. I think he's turning him, and she doesn't want him at the wedding, does she?
No.
She sort of said, you got on with him, Cash. I didn't. I don't want him there. You're my family. He reminds me of who isn't there,
Yeah.
I can semi understand that argument, but then I'm like, but nobody being there surely is also a reminder of nobody being there. I'm just thinking I can only sort of half get on board with that comment,
Yeah, but if you're not that close, why would you want them at your wedding?
Well, I suppose, yeah, there is that.
And it's another mouth to feed and all that. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the money. Like, save your money. Don't invite people that you don't like.
You're over with knee deep. It's another mouth.
It is. It's another $100. If you don't like him, don't invite him.
Do you remember when Felicity and Tane got together and we were talking about Felicity having, all the family values that Tane's got?
Yeah.
And the big sort of paratas, and she got brought into the fold. And do you remember us talking?
Yeah.
We were talking about her. This is the family. She's never had this,
Yes. Yeah.
And they're talking about flying people over from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Getting an invite, and they're like, "What about your side?" And she's like, "Nope." And it's moments like weddings and things sort of highlights things like this in families, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And things sort of do become a bit, come up to the surface, don't we? So
yeah, that's true. When you start putting the guest list together, and it's like, traditionally you put like the bride's side and the groom's side, don't you? I don't think at a beach wedding it really matters, but if you're doing like a church, you normally sit the bride's family on one side and the groom on the other side. So I can imagine Felicity's side's going to be Cash and the band, and I can't think who else. Mac would be on her side, and then obviously Tane's going to have all of his family flying in from New Zealand, or the ones that aren't already dead. half his family's dead, isn't it? Oh, God, it's awful.
Well, that would be a plot twist. I forgot his name now. Ari turns up.
Yeah. He might do, because he was in it for a while after he died.
You were just like, go away.
Go away, ghost Ari. Jesus. I thought you were dead. He might come back with Mia, you never know.
Oh, God, please, no.
Oh, do you think Mia and Chloe will come back for the wedding?
No.
I hope not.
No.
Good. They'll just send a present, won't they? That'll do. Just a present. Right, Si. So this is the new segment that we've been talking about every week. Not new anymore, I guess. This is the third one.
Is wearing off a bit, yeah.
But still haven't got a name for it, so I don't think we've had any suggestions. We talked last week about what we're going to call this segment. I think Your Say on the Bay is sticking, because we've had no other
objections. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be the name. So Your Say on the Bay, this new segment for the podcast for season 3, is where we talk about anybody that's got in contact with us. So we've got an Instagram account and we've got a Twitter account, and both of the handles for those accounts are at Coastal News Pod. And we've also got an email address, which is coastalnewspod@gmail.com. And what we'd like to hear from you is your thoughts on the storylines that are happening at the moment, your opinions on any of the characters, or any theories about where some of these storylines are going, or what you're expecting to happen in the 35th year of Home and Away that we're celebrating at the moment this month. And if there's anything you want us to talk about specifically on the podcast, or any opinions you want us to give on the show, then get in touch. So that's the point of this segment, really. So this week I've just been having a little look at the tweets that we've been getting, and also the tweets on the hashtag Home and Away hashtag on Twitter. And there's been a recurring sort of theme this week. I don't know whether you've noticed this has come up. It's a recurring theme that comes up not just this week, actually. It has come up before. Fans of the show that have been fans of the show for a long time do raise this periodically. It is something that's talked about, and that is the fostering aspect of the show. And the reason why this has come up this week is because, we had that scene recently where Marilyn ran away to the city and she was volunteering at the community kitchen, and she came across this girl called Sloane.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She was helping her and all of that sort of stuff.
Sloane.
Not Simone. I know. I looked at the end credits because I was like, I'm sure I heard him say Sloane, but then when he said Simone, I thought that makes more sense because that's an actual name. So I thought I'll go and have a look, and it was Sloane. So I don't know whether it's a nickname. Very odd. I don't know whether is that a name? Is that someone's first name? Doesn't sound it to me. No. But anyway, so people were discussing that scene, which was very brief, really. Only, it's only one episode that Marilyn was in the city and we saw her volunteering. But people were saying, wouldn't it be nice if this girl ended up coming to Summer Bay and maybe Irene took her in and turned her life around, or maybe Marilyn took her in? This concept of fostering, and the show being built on fostering back in the day when we had the Fletchers move into Summer Bay House in the pilot episode, and they had this huge blended family of foster kids. And there's a lot of people saying, go back to the old Home and Away, go back to how it used to be, have more fostering, have more children in the show in general, because we don't have many young people, do we? And when I say young, I mean like under 18, or there's no kids in the show. So what are your thoughts on this, with this topic coming up all the time?
Right, deep breath.
Oh, okay, you have thoughts.
Gonna get my soapbox out. Hang on. Right.
Are you on?
I'm on. Right. So I get it. I sort of get it. But, and I'm a very long-term viewer myself, right? This is me coming to the show in 2010 or 2020 and saying, oh, no, it's great, leave it as it is. This is me having watched it since the 90s, okay? And have watched the years I didn't watch because I was too young, this is a fan opinion, right? I think it frustrates me when the fans say this, because yes, that sort of foster, like you say, it's built on that foster family at the center of the show, wasn't it, at the beginning? A major part of the show, and actually was the premise of the show. That's what allowed new young kids to come to the Bay, and wrong-uns, waifs and strays, all taken under the arms of the community and nurtured and grow up, and then they sort of go off into the world again, don't they? And better people for having been to the Bay is basically the premise, right? I think that is still there. Okay, I think we have to understand that the world is not the same place anymore as it was in 88, 89. Okay. And I think if the show now was like it was then, now none of these people, myself included, would be watching it, right? It's just it's the way TV is now. It's just not entertaining enough on its own. And we refer to, or us fans a lot of the time refer to this fostering thing being the heart, and I'm air quote in that, of the show, right? It's very much at the center of a lot of these characters still. The show is now older itself. The soap audience is older itself. The show is aimed nowadays at a slightly older person than it was at the beginning, in my opinion. I don't know if it's fact or not, but the fact that there's nobody attending school, there's no 13-year-old child or what have you, is because 13-year-olds don't watch soap operas anymore. So who is that story going to relate to? Now, I'm not saying no 13-year-olds watch the show, but what I'm saying is the vast majority of the audience are now going to be 20s, 30s, 40s, right? Who were brought, like us, who
and
were
beyond,
who were brought up on the show, right? And we've engaged with it. I don't want to sit every night and watch children doing their HSE.
No.
Right?
We've seen it before as well, haven't we? So we've got to remember, coming from as old fans, been there, done that, bought the T-shirt. We've seen everybody go to school and get their HSE or not get the HSE, have to repeat a year. We've seen it all before, haven't we? So
So for me, I look at this in a slightly different lens, in that it's the show looking after the audience, right? No, I'm going to be honest with you. Don't think you and I would be here doing this podcast now if it was like it was sort of late 90s. There was a lot of school kids. I just don't relate to that stuff. I want to see people 20, 25, 30, and the show has aged, and it's got to age with its audience. It's just natural. Okay. Now, does that mean you should never represent that age group? Of course not. And that's another debate for another day. When we talk specifically about fostering, it's still there. Of course, if your characters are older and your audience is older, childhood fostering's not really, the forefront and something you could relate to off the bat. But let's think of some examples of characters here who have come from families that are not your average mother, father, 2.4 children, white picket fence. Same as the kids back in the day that used to come to the Bay, in the foster system, in docks and all that business. Cash and Felicity, even this week, they're talking about they were in the foster system, and they're now dealing with, as adults, weddings and inviting a foster father that we didn't get along with, and all that sort of stuff being dredged up from their backstory. Jazz was another one. She was brought up by foster parents, found herself in the Bay, you know, and these Xander and Rose ended up in the Bay from a family, you know, father died, you know, parents dead, you know, and they've wound up in the Bay, and now they're being taken in by the community. It's still happening. Just because no one is saying, I'm going to foster you, will you foster me, please, Pippa?
Yeah.
And the docs is knocking on the door and on the phone. You know, I think it's still there, and I think
it is. Yeah,
it's easy for us and lazy for us to say it's not and complain.
Yeah, you're right. And we even had a mention of Jet tonight, didn't we? When John was talking to Cash about Gary and the foster dad of Cash and Flick. You know, he mentioned Jet and how I'd absolutely love to go to Jet's wedding. You know, I wouldn't miss it for the world. You know, he's my foster kid, but he's like a it's like a son to me. So you're right. We do hear about it all the time, and even some of the characters that are established, like Justin. You know, Justin's family backstory is that he, essentially has no parents, has he? Came to the Bay, and it was all siblings as a family unit. So we've still got this idea of like blended families and not that nuclear family that we used to have, in other soaps.
Yeah, I think it's there, and I think these people come to the Bay. We laugh and joke about them running away from something, don't we, all the time?
Yeah,
they wound up at the. They come and there's something broken. There's something out of the ordinary, and I think that's why the show resonates so much with some people around the world, because nobody's family is perfect. Everyone's got their own experience, their own thing going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's relatable.
Yes.
And why many of us just stick with it.
Absolutely. And even if you look at Theo, he's moved in with his auntie, and his auntie's boyfriend. He's got a mum and dad somewhere in the city, but he's got a troubled relationship with them, and now he's moved to the Bay and he's living with Leah. So
yeah. There's example after example.
Yeah.
Because it's not in your face. This is fostering. Will you foster me?
Yeah.
And fair enough. People want to see a bit of that. That's fine. I mean, Maz and John tried it a bit, didn't they, when they were married? Do you remember they took a few people in? There was Tony, wasn't there?
And there was that girl whose name is it Rafi they took in?
They took Rafi in off the Morgans, didn't
they? Yeah.
So there has, I mean, that's not really that recent, but there's still times when it is a little bit more sort of up and out front, But I think if you take time and really look at these characters' backgrounds and backstories, time and time again, that they're from, like you say, these same backgrounds. And I think it's a little unfair of us to judge straight off. I tell you, these same people, and I'm not singling anybody out here, but on the other side, you see the same arguments of, Ziggy and Dean are having a baby, that means they're going to leave because no one ever just has a baby and is happy, and bring up a baby, and you're like, well, thank the Lord I'm not making this program, because you literally can't ever win.
No, you can't please everybody, and I think that's the problem, isn't it, really? And I think with social media, our thoughts and our opinions are so easily communicated now, aren't they? Whereas back in the day, if you were watching a soap and you didn't really like it, you just turn the TV off and go and do something else. Whereas now, we can just go onto Twitter and put all our thoughts into the ether and say, I'm not enjoying X, Y, and Z. And, everyone can see that. So
it's
more prevalent. It's like we know what people think of the show because they tweet about it. I didn't, unless I was at, speaking to people that watched the show when I was at school, going into school and saying, did you see Home and Away last night? What did you think of this? It was communications that you had face to face, isn't it, with people that you knew?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true, actually. That's a really valid point you make there, because what were people thinking back then? Were they thinking the same things we're saying now?
Yeah.
This is the same. There's not enough fostering. And that's the joy of being a fan of a soap. Everyone's got an opinion.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always agree, and you talk it out, and that's why the soap genre is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not discrediting. If people want to see it, they want to see it. I don't want anyone to think this is discrediting that. But I can understand, is what I'm trying to say, what the show is trying to do.
Yes.
And have been trying to do for some time now.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me. Highlighted really well over the Christmas with some of those classic episodes. And there's some of them with the young kids where it's like not interested at all.
Yeah. We've changed, haven't we, since the show was made? I think you're absolutely right. The stuff that used to interest me, I used to be caught up in all those Shane and Angel storylines, and caught up in Sally and everything that related to me at the time, because they were only a few years older than me. But now, you're right, if I want to watch kids, I'll watch Hollyoaks.
Yeah.
It's a very different show, Hollyoaks, to Home and Away. They're completely different, and it has got that younger vibe to it. But even the kids on Hollyoaks, they're not all that young either. They're still sort of early 20s, and most of them. Some of the younger ones that probably are not as young as they are portraying in real life.
And ultimately, TV is a business. So the people who are buying advertising slots, right? They know that these people as young as school kids, they don't watch them.
No, you're right.
Simple as that. Just simple as that.
Kids don't watch like live TV, do they, anymore? I mean, I still put Freeview on at night. I sit down and I'm putting the soaps on. I watch pretty much all the soaps apart from Emmerdale. I think I've never watched Emmerdale, but I watch everything else, and I'm watching it in real time. I catch up on the iPlayer or on the hub or on my 5 when I have to, if I've missed something, if I haven't been able to sit down and watch it live. But that's showing my age, really. That's just because I'm used to watching it that way. But 16-year-old, they're not going to sit down at 6:30 on the dot and sit through adverts, and are they?
So, telling me when I've got to watch telly, you're mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. TV is a business, and they need and they've got to attract the right advertisers and stuff.
Well, you can tell the audience they're trying to advertise to when when you see the adverts in the ad breaks, can't you? And it's like HSL chairs. It's not young person's adverts, is it?
We've had this discussion before, that because if you watch My Fire, for example, that knows your age, you get different adverts.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Haven't we? So
I'm definitely in the 10 lady market, apparently. Oh dear. Yeah, thanks for that.
I've got the disposable income to buy a new baby.
Oh dear, it's funny.
Thank you for listening. We will be back with more episode discussion from Summer Bay soon. Until then, join the discussion online at Coastal News Pod.